Another interesting conversation today, and right now it's about parenting, and we're joined by Omomi Obidairo, the founder of Haven Edu Services, a childhood ed care firm, and she'll be discussing with us today the power of play and making the most out of it. Welcome back to Wake Up Nigeria. How you doing today?
Fantastic.
All right, amazing. So now tell me, this power of play, because I remember growing up, and yeah, I did play, but I don't think it was something that was consciously put into like a schedule. Do you understand? So why? What is the power of play? Tell me about it.
All right. If we're going to compare our own time to the time and age we are, I'd say we actually probably unconsciously, maybe, and probably to some parents very intentionally, we enjoyed the power of play because we were able to explore freely without any schedule being put into it, without anybody holding us accountable for the kind of play we do. But in this time, because of a lot of things happening around, kids are, how do I put it, they are not free enough to be allowed to play and explore, because the power of play is exploration. It is letting them being able to express themselves, letting them help and grow their mental health, help them grow their social and emotional health as well. So that's the power of play. It helps them grow, it helps them build themselves, it helps them build an emotion. That is the power of play, which is not so much that we are getting in this time and age, because like we talked about screen time, it's taking, and and a lot of tight schedules, and because everybody is strict on things, and we trying to be intentional parents but being strict on a particular thing, also because of that we are getting in the way of allowing them explore and allowing them play.
All right, amazing. So now, before we go any further, I think it's important we define play. What can we say play means now?
Okay, basically play is just exploring, being oneself, being creative, being able to be creative and think outside the box. You understand? That's play. It's just having fun. It's just being joyful, being able to just, be yourself, either as a child or as an adult. Yeah.
So it's also important as
it's not just limited to children.
With all the responsibilities?
We should actually play, because at the end of the day, we find out that it helps us offload all those stress, and it helps us be in that place. You see, sometimes when as adults we get to play with children, you see that 5 minutes or 10 minutes of play, we notice that we forget all our sorrows, we forget all the problems, and there's this joy we feel from within. And after play, at the end of the day, you might realize that some ideas start coming to you, because it's actually also a place of creativity. I've heard some people in the place of play, they've discovered ideas, for a particular challenge, and it's just helped themselves, probably from their children playing, watching that child play, and they discovered how the child solved the particular problem during play, and they were able to apply it to their own lives, and it helped them.
All right, so what would you say would be the best way to structure out these times? Now, I mean, with a whole lot happening, parents are busy, kids are going to school, so there's usually a routine for, how to drop off and pick up kids, everybody comes back home, you have lunchtime, dinner time, siesta, all that kind of stuff. So now how would you say it would be the best way to create time consciously for play? And how much play is too much play?
Can there really be too much play? Can there really be too much play? It's a whole lot. So sometimes if we don't balance things, like I always say, balance is actually, it would help us live life. If we don't balance things, then we can begin to have some negative side effects. So really, like we talked about routine, last week, if we try as much as possible to say, every day of the week, I want to choose a particular time, you understand, in our routine to have my child play, even if it's before bedtime. So we try to find it. It might not necessarily happen all the time because of the way our lives are structured and all of that, but we shouldn't be, like I mentioned, we shouldn't be tight with our schedules. So we should try and imbibe it into our daily routines. And we should try, possible, as much as possible, every day, we should actually let children play, and we should also play. And we should also try to find time to also be a part of our child's playtime. Because there is the children playing and just leaving them be, and there is the we as a parent being a part of that play. It goes a long way in also helping them. It helps them bond with us, and also playing with their peers. Because in the society nowadays, probably I stay in an estate, my child, myself, my house. You understand? It's difficult for me to want to have my child play with neighbors, not even with all the vices out there. I'm always like, because it happens to all likes of us. So being too careful also might also come in the way of our child getting the most out of play.
Most out of play. Okay, that actually sounds very fun. So now when you're talking about children playing, what type of activities would you advise?
There are different kind of activities, and we shouldn't be restrictive. Now, I must quickly point out that as parents, especially intentional parents, there are some things you see your child play and you're scared because you realize probably they picked it off of TV. For example, if your child is playing and your child decides to use probably drumstick or his drumstick to act as a gun, and you are beginning to be like, no, what kind of play is that? You know, that kind of thing. But sometimes research has shown that you should let children express themselves sometimes. Because the truth is, you are the one probably with the bad mindset. You understand? That child might not necessarily be thinking it that way. And there are ways to even go about helping that child out of it, rather than just coming off as from the place of fear. You understand? Fear to say, oh, don't do that, don't do that. There are ways to now help the child see what is right and what is wrong.
And also, it actually also helps you as a parent to understand where the child is mentally. Because I remember watching something, I can't remember. The child was asked to paint, like just like the guy literally drew something, and they literally had to take the kid into like therapy, and the therapist was literally saying all manner of things, and I'm like, wow, is that deep? Okay, so now, for adults now, because you need to help us with everything that's happening. What type of activities would you advise for adults?
All right, especially if it's adults with kids, it's fantastic to just try to put your own play routine into your child's play routine and let them be creative. Don't force anything on them. They will definitely give you something that at the end of the day you find interesting for yourself. Don't try to force an activity on them. And
so like what, puzzles?
There are different kind of plays. It could even be, if you, for example, if you have a toddler, you can put your toddler by the bathtub to start filling in water. That's in fact, that's a whole lot of activity for that child. Yeah, so there are different kind of things they could do. They could decide to draw. They could decide to sketch. You could even dance with your children. The child dance, you dance, and be silly, giggle, be funny. And that helps a whole lot. It helps the child trust you and have confidence in you.
All right, amazing. Thank you so much, so much for this. Always a pleasure having you here.
It's my pleasure.
We're having you next week again,
Yeah,
right?
definitely.
Awesome, amazing. Okay, so that's it on this conversation. Play, allow your kids to play and join them as well. Life is not as serious, all right? Amazing.